The anxious generation. Why social media harms girls more than boys. It's fascinating and alarming how social media seems to affect girls more negatively than boys, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've heard about cases like Alexis's. Her journey is heartbreaking yet eye-opening.
Research shows that since smartphones became prevalent in the early 2010s, psychiatric wards have seen a disproportionate increase in girls facing mental health issues.
That makes sense. I read that social media can lead to social deprivation and even sleep deprivation.
Exactly. The constant comparison and pressure to fit in can fragment attention and lead to addictive behaviors.
I can't imagine how overwhelming it must be. Alexis was so young when she first got into social media.
Yes, she was only 11 when she created her Instagram account, despite her parents' efforts to monitor her usage.
And then her mental health took such a drastic turn. It's shocking how quickly that happened.
Indeed. Within months, the content she was exposed to shifted dramatically, leading her down a dangerous path.
It's so troubling that algorithms can push harmful content so effectively.
Absolutely. The algorithms can amplify issues like body image concerns, which are particularly harmful to young girls.
I hope more parents become aware of these dangers and start having conversations with their kids.
That's essential. Understanding the impact of social media is the first step in addressing these mental health challenges. The evidence that social media harms girls. A study found that girls who spend 5 or more hours on social media are 3 times more likely to be depressed than those who don't use it at all.
That's alarming. Why is that the case?
It seems to relate to social comparison and the pressure to present a perfect image online. Unlike boys, girls often internalize these pressures more.
That makes sense. I also heard that some studies downplay the risks, saying the effects are minimal.
Yes, some studies do suggest minimal harm, but when focusing specifically on social media, the negative correlation with mental health for girls becomes clearer.
So, there's a significant difference in how social media impacts mental health based on gender?
Absolutely. For boys, the increase in depression is only noticeable after 2 hours of use, whereas for girls, it's a consistent risk with more time spent online. Is social media a cause or just a correlate? Some research indicates that social media can actually lead to increased feelings of loneliness and depression among teens.
That's concerning. Is it just correlation, or is there evidence of causation?
Great question. Some studies have used randomized controlled trials to establish causation. For example, one study found that reducing social media use led to significant decreases in depressive symptoms among college students.
That's impressive. So, what about the impact of social media on social interactions?
That's another important aspect. Social media has changed communication dynamics. Teens now spend more time on their phones, which reduces face-to-face interactions and can harm their social skills.
It sounds like it's not just the individuals using it who are affected, but everyone around them too.
Exactly. Even those who avoid social media can feel the impact as the overall social atmosphere shifts. Does social media affect groups as well as individuals? When some teens abstain from social media while their friends are still on it, they can feel socially isolated.
That makes sense. But studies show that even a short break from social media can improve their mental health.
Exactly. Imagine if an entire school could be assigned to give up social media for a year. The impact could be significant.
I can see how that would work. There was a study where Facebook's rollout to new colleges led to worse mental health outcomes, especially for women.
Yes, that study found increased symptoms of depression and a rise in mental health care services usage after Facebook became available.
And it's not just Facebook. High-speed internet access has also been linked to negative mental health effects, particularly among girls.
Exactly. A 2022 study in Spain showed that increased internet access led to more addictive behaviors and less time spent on important activities.
It's alarming how this shift to social media has contributed to the rise in anxiety and depression since the early 2010s.
Indeed. Some researchers argue that the changes in group dynamics are overlooked when only focusing on individual effects. Girls use social media more than boys. Studies show that girls are heavier users of visually oriented platforms, which can impact their mental health.
That's concerning. I read that Instagram was rated the worst for mental well-being among teens.
Yes, a 2017 study found that teens rated Instagram as the most harmful, followed by Snapchat. YouTube was the only one that had a positive score.
That's alarming. I can see how that could lead to increased anxiety and depression.
Absolutely. The platforms exploit developmental needs differently for boys and girls, which can amplify these issues.
So, what are the core differences between boys and girls in this context?
Boys tend to focus on agency, like efficiency and assertiveness, while girls often focus on communion, like empathy and cooperation.